Hi, I'm Jack Draper. Shout out to QualityShot Tennis.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Post-match, Daniel Medvedev versus Alexander Zverev. We have to talk about this match. We really do, because it ended up being a very competitive, very tight match. Daniel Medvedev came out on top in 3 sets after being a set down, losing a first set tiebreaker 7-5. He took the second set in a tiebreaker 7-5 himself, and then won the third set 7-5. So a lot of 7-5s we're talking about in this match. A lot of sevens, a lot of sixes, a lot of fives. Before getting into it though, remember to that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and also do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Your support is greatly appreciated. Also, if you are a member, you guys are legends, genuinely. Without your support, it'll be a lot harder. So thank you for all the contributions that you guys make as well. Okay, let's get into it then. So Daniel Medvedev against Alexander Zverev. The head-to-head was tied at 6-all going into the match, and it was who gets the bragging rights winning this match. Medvedev in fantastic form, 16-match winning streak going into it. Of course, now 17 matches for Zverev. He had that really long layoff after rupturing his ankle, the ligaments even in his ankle, and it looked like he's starting to get into some sort of rhythm in this tournament, starting to play some decent tennis. And there was question marks around whether it would be too soon for him, but also question marks around Daniel Medvedev, given that he's been complaining about the surface a lot, saying it's super slow, it's not a hard court, they need to do something about it, and he's not happy. And he's complained every single match about it. It's very hard. It's very, very hard to criticize him, because I do find him quite entertaining when he does just gesture, complain, talk generally. I just find him a very colorful character. But some people, and I can probably understand, might find it annoying. In the end, anyway, he got the job done. But there's some very interesting turning points and also things that happen throughout the match, which I want to discuss, and also some patterns of play that we need to very briefly analyze as well. So let's break it down. I'm going to go through some of the stats in a second as well. But what I wanted to talk about first is Medvedev. Now, the talking point, I think, for me was the ankle. Now, he turned his ankle in the second set, Daniel Medvedev. Now, it looked like he was going to struggle massively after turning his ankle, and a lot of people thought, oh, hold on, is he going to be able to continue? He said he was moving with pain. There were some points where he looked very, very labored, and actually looked like he might struggle potentially to stick with Zverev in longer rallies. Zverev did take his foot off the gas a little bit in that second set when Medvedev did injure his ankle, but he still stuck with him, and eventually got taken to a tiebreaker. Now, there was a big, big difference between Medvedev before the injury and after the injury. And one of the biggest things about that was Medvedev's serve. Now, in the first set, and especially the second set, for the majority of the second set, he was having to really fight hard to hold serve. Zverev was opening up a lot of breakpoint opportunities, returning well. Medvedev wasn't serving particularly well as well, it has to be said. And then after he injured his ankle, two things happened. One, he started serving bigger and hitting his spots, and probably because he wanted to shorten the point, so he was playing more aggressively. And two, he actually started hitting through the ball in the court a lot easier. Like, when I say a lot easier, I mean a lot easier. Hitting a lot more winners, hitting with a lot more power and precision, hitting the ball a lot flatter over the net, as we know he likes to do, likes to hit flat and sharply through the court. And there was a stat showing that actually he was taking the ball a lot earlier. So on the rise, it went from 25% around to almost 50% taking the ball earlier on the rise. So Medvedev was taking time away from Zverev, and he was trying to be on the front foot, hugging the baseline and shortening the points. And what that meant is he was almost focused. And sometimes they say an injured opponent is a dangerous opponent. And the reason why I think sometimes they say that is when you're injured, you don't have the luxury of having certain options or a multitude of options to, you have multiple options to lean upon. You don't have those options to lean upon. You almost have to stick to one game plan. And it kind of reminded me of, and I'll very briefly talk about this because no one really cares about my tennis at all, but I injured my right wrist, right? And I couldn't hit my topspin forehand, and I was playing with a mate, and we booked a court, and I was like, look, I don't want to not play, so what should I do? So I could serve okay, and I could slice. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to serve and volley, and I'm going to basically chip and charge the serve. So I'm going to hit a slice or a block return because I can't hit a drive forehand or backhand, and then I'm going to come to the net. And a lot of net play, but I was one-track minded. And the funniest thing is, I thought I had no hope in hell of winning, but I actually won that match in straight sets. That's a practice match, completely different, amateur level, I know, but it kind of reminded me of that when Medvedev he injured his ankle and it was like, okay, he knows that he doesn't, most likely anyway, at least at the start anyway, his ankle was still sort of still hurting. I think towards the end, to be fair, it seemed okay, but especially at the start when he got strapped, etc., he knew he had to be more aggressive. He couldn't afford to get run ragged around the court, left, right, and center, and be super defensive. And you could see in a couple of points he gave up on some of the balls because he was like, I don't want to risk it. I don't want to hurt myself even more. But what it did, that injury, is give him a one-track mind, a focus on what he needs to do. And instead of focusing and moaning about the surface and how slow it was, he started focusing on his injury in a positive way, saying that, okay, well, if I'm injured, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And he executed it. He executed it really well, generally speaking, that is. Zverev started having to be more defensive in some of the rallies, and Medvedev started being able to dictate in some of them as well, which was incredible. We also hit this ridiculous smash, which is 135 miles per hour in response to a smash from Zverev himself. I mean, it was an unbelievable defensive smash, but defensive / attacking smash in the end. But he definitely was dangerous after getting injured, and I think Zverev maybe. I don't think he underestimated him after he got injured, but I think maybe there was a little bit of kind of projection onto Medvedev when he got injured because, of course, he turned his ankle. It was really bad, though, his injury, and then he was out for a long time. He went over also to try and help him up. Medvedev was like, no, I don't really want you to help me up. I'm kind of just chilling here. Don't really help me up. And you got the feeling that he felt a bit sorry for him. And look, this is professional tennis. I get that I know they're friendly off court as well. They're pretty good friends, and on top of that, it's one of those things that you don't want to be, you don't want to be that guy who is really pushing your opponent or the other person on the other side of the net to get injured even more. But at the same time, Medvedev can retire if he wants to retire. So if I'm Zverev, I'm just being clinical and saying, look, I'm going to carry on my game plan, and if I can take advantage of his injury, then I will. And not in like a savage and mean way, but in a way that, you know what, that's just a sport. It's your job at the end of the day, and you're trying to do to do what you can, and you have to do whatever you can do to win without being, really unsportsmanlike. I don't think it is unsportsmanlike to be professional about it. So I think he did take his after ball a little bit, and probably a missed opportunity. He should have taken that second set, in my opinion. He ended up getting taken to a tiebreaker. The tiebreaker, he was 4-1 down, a couple of bad mistakes, trying to be more proactive and attacking in that second set. And then, wasn't great, to be honest with you. And in the third set, he found himself a breakdown early on, brought it back, saved a match point at 5-4 down. Medvedev serving at 5-4, saved that match point, got to 5-all, and then got broken. And he was actually 40-30 up on his service game. He did let himself down as a double fault, actually, to get broken eventually. In all fairness to him, he did only serve two double faults the whole match. That's good for him in terms of overall stats. But the problem was he served a double fault in a really pivotal moment. It wasn't a big one, but it's still a double fault. And then Medvedev served it out pretty comfortably in the end. So, look, I mean, it was an intriguing match, to say the least. And I've kind of given you guys a little bit of a kind of bite-sized chunks of what happened in the match and how it played out. The biggest thing about this matchup, and the reason why I think it's so competitive, and the fact that it is now 7-6 to Medvedev, still so competitive, there's a few reasons. I think the first reason is that Zverev is one of the only players on tour who can stick with Medvedev backhand to back. And I think both players, they're top three. I'd say Medvedev, Zverev, and Djokovic, three best two-handed backhands on tour. So, both players are able to soak up a lot of pressure, and their backhands are very reliable. Very different types of backhands, but both equally as effective. Zverev did try to employ coming forward to the net. Now, the problem with him coming to the net was I think the idea and the hypothesis to come to the net was good. It was the right theory. but the execution wasn't quite there. And ironically, Medvedev was actually winning more points coming forward to the net percentage-wise than Zverev. And the reason why he is there are two reasons. Number one, he was choosing his moments better. Number two, he was approaching the net better in the sense that his approach shot had a lot more on it. It was a lot more... it just had a lot more attacking intent behind it. And because of that, his volley to finish off the point or first or second volleys weren't particularly hard because Zverev was always kind of on the back foot for the most part in those situations and had a very hard passing shot. Whereas for Medvedev at times, it wasn't particularly hard for him. Zverev tends to hit a lot of drop volleys as well, and it can become a bit predictable. It doesn't quite kind of power the volley when he needs to. I think he needs to have a bit of variation there. He does have the type of game that should complement coming to the net well, but it's not always the case. Now, a couple of serve volleys points were very good, generally speaking. But if we look at the net points here, actually, because we should have the net points here. Yeah, look at that. 23 out of 29 for Medvedev. So 79%. That's really good for Medvedev, considering everyone says that he can't volley. He has no net game. 64% for Zverev, 30 out of 47. Now, if you were to put these two players side by side before the match and say who is the better volleyer, who has the better net game, you would say categorically Alexander Zverev. Now, the fact that Medvedev has bested him in that stat, to me, says one about the fact that Medvedev has come at the right times, and also he's approached the net well with a lot of intent, and also chosen the right side to approach to, most likely. And two, he's also been convincing and had composure behind his volleys, because I don't think technique-wise his volleys are better than Zverev's. Whereas with Zverev, I think coming to the net a lot, almost double the amount that Medvedev was, but at times probably not the right option or didn't do enough on the approach and then got passed easily. So still not terrible at 64%, but not ideal. And then if we look at the winners to unforced errors as well before we get into the serve stats, it was 40 winners to 40 unforced errors for Daniel Medvedev. By the way, the longest 3-set match Daniel Medvedev has played in his career. It's the longest best of 3 matches he's ever played in his career. For Zverev, it was 41 winners to 50 unforced errors. So more unforced errors, a few more anyway, than winners for Zverev, equal for Medvedev. Not a super amount in it, to be honest with you, and it doesn't cater in forced errors as well, so I don't really want to talk about that too much. Serve stats-wise, 12 aces for Medvedev, 7 for Zverev, 5 double faults for Medvedev, 3 for Zverev as well. First set percentages, 66% for Medvedev, 75% for Zverev. Now, that's really high. That was actually very good, generally speaking. First set points won, 75% for Medvedev, 71% for Zverev. Maybe didn't back it up as well as he could have at times. I think Medvedev, of course, is a fantastic returner, no doubt. And, of course, that deep return position means that he's able to defend really well. But I think Zverev, a little bit tentative in some moments. And, it was interesting because we saw the two sides to Zverev that we have tended to see throughout his career in periods quite regularly. And the first Zverev, first type A Zverev, I like to call him, is the Zverev that is very cautious, goes cross court all the time, or sometimes even pushes the ball into court. A lot of topspin, a lot of air, but not much penetration to the court, not trying to hit, with a lot of venom and not taking a lot of risks. And then you've got type B Zverev, who, he's not going 100% gung-ho, but he is stepping in when he can on the ground strokes. He's going line when the opportunity presents itself, and he's trying to hit through the court. He's trying to hit winners when he can, and he's trying to put the opponent on the back foot and be proactive. Type A Zverev is the Zverev that says, I love playing on clay, I love grinding, defending, etc. That Zverev, in my opinion, is never going to win a slam. Type B Zverev, the one that's got a really good record on fast hard courts, beat Novak at the Olympics, won the ATP final not too long ago. That is the Zverev that is going to win a slam. He needs to cut out as much of that type A Zverev as possible. It needs to be a distant memory. It really does. I mean, look at this. Break point save. Now, this is less, in my opinion, about how Medvedev saved break points and more about how Zverev was not clinical in these moments. 15 out of 17 breakpoints saved for Medvedev. So that means Zverev only took two. He only took 2 opportunities out of 17 to break. Whereas for Zverev, 5 out of 8 saved. That means that Medvedev took 3 out of the 8 opportunities presented. I mean, he had double the amount of break points to potentially break, still ended up losing the match. I mean, that is absolutely crazy to say. And, look, I have to be honest with you. He was really disappointed after losing the second set in the tiebreak. You could tell he was miffed about it. The third set as well, he came back really nicely. He showed fight. And the one thing about Alexander Zverev is he always fights. He always, always, always fights. No doubt. But you can't play 3 sets of really competitive, tight tennis against someone like Daniel Medvedev and not commit for the whole match or for at least really large periods of the match. You can have dips at times, but I just feel like with Zverev, because he doesn't commit wholeheartedly at times, it does come back to bite him in the backside. Whereas with Medvedev, as soon as he got injured, he committed to it and just said, look, I'm just going to go big. And I'm not saying that it would have helped Zverev if he got injured, but I feel like sometimes he rolled back to type and said, I'm just going to grind with you from the back. If he was going to do that, he had to at least do it so that he was really making Medvedev work and really pushed his ankle, but he wasn't even doing that at times. But look, some positive signs for Zverev, given that he hasn't been back from injury for so long, or for too long, sorry, even. Look, high first serve percentage, not many double faults, only 2. Serving pretty well at times. The forehand down the line, we didn't see a lot of it, but when we did, it looked good. The backhand down the line, again, didn't see as much of it as we would have liked, but saw it more than the forehand down the line. I think that backhand down the line is a real, real, real weapon. Also, positives that he came to the net, was trying to come to the net in transition. It's the right play against Medvedev. Just maybe the execution wasn't quite good enough at times. For Medvedev, positives, well, there's a few positives. The number one is the fact that he managed to serve extremely well in the third set. The third set, by the way, he was flying through service games. I think by midway through the third set, or even towards the end, he'd only lost 2 points behind his serve. I mean, ridiculously good. Before getting broken, I think it was actually at 5-4. Then, we talk about his forehand. Well, his forehand has been red hot the last few weeks. Wasn't hitting it too well until he got injured, but the positive sign is that it just shows after he got injured, he is able to and has the ability to hit through even these super slow courts, as he says, that aren't hard courts. Apparently, they're clay courts disguised as hard courts. His backhand is always solid, we know. Trying to utilize the drop shot, which I think is a good ploy. I saw Zverev try to use it at times as well. Both players can work on that, I think. And also, he tried to come to the net. And the fact that, as I said, look, what was it, 79% of net points won? And, he tried to come to the net 29 times. That's really impressive. And the fact that he had so much success, I think, is a testament to how he's trying to really move his game along and evolve continually. So that's a real positive sign. But anyway, that's all from me. Let me know your thoughts. Were you surprised by the result? I actually thought Zverev might win this, to be honest, given that I don't think Medvedev's going to win Indian Wells. I think the courts are too slow and too bouncy for him. And even though, he's managed to win this match, I do think it's still not his favorite surface. He is going to continue to moan about it. And I think mentally it just doesn't help. Also, let's be honest, it's not the most ideal surface for his game anyway. He wants to be playing on a surface where it's quick, so he's able to deflect ground strokes with ease. He doesn't have to generate a lot of offense or power. On top of that, he's able to serve big, hit his spots, and get a lot of free points on a quick surface as well. And 2, he wants a lower bouncing court, one where he can hit the ball really flat and it zips through rather than sitting up. So Indian Wells is none of those. Whereas for Zverev, who actually is a very good clay court player, and I would say he's just a very good all court player generally, this surface is actually pretty good for him. So he'll be a bit disappointed. You could see he lumbered off after, probably not in the best of spirits, but it's some positive signs as he comes back from injury. And the fact that, look, he could have won it in straight sets and 2 tiebreakers. Wasn't to be, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. And I think he'll do decently well, not just at Miami, but in the clay court swing coming up as well. Let me know your thoughts on the match as well. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well, and we'll see you on the next video.